Can you believe it? 12 o'clock, Friday. Hi, gang. We made it through another week. Something. Forgive me for sucking a throat thing, but as you can tell, yeah. What the hell? I can't shift it. This has been 3 weeks now. I cannot shift it. Anyway, what the heck? Here we are. I'll get rid of this eventually, but otherwise, have you noticed? The journey? Just me. Frodo, or I like to call him Bilbo Baggins. He's not with me today. I didn't know really. I just found him too annoying. He had to go. In the honor of me being on my own today, guest, got some fantastic guests coming up. I put on a shirt. You realize how screwed up our lives have got. Just putting on, I always wear just jeans, boots, and that's what I wear. And usually a t-shirt, right? So I'm wearing a shirt. And I feel like I'm dressed up to go to a wedding. Is it? The other day I was wandering along and I saw two businessmen, as we used to call them, or estate agents, as I call them. And they were wearing a suit, and I realized I hadn't seen anybody in a suit and tie for about 2 years. It's crazy. Right, let's go straight to Spain. I want to tell you why Phil's with me in a minute. Chris, at least it's not flu or COVID. Laugh out loud. Chrissy, you're a very, very sick person. You know, I like you. That's probably why I like you, because you're just... Hi, Russ. Just shopping and chasing the gas man. Nothing wrong with libido, obviously, Chrissy. Poor bastard. He's running through your little Spanish village going, oh, no, Chrissy. He's chasing me in. Good afternoon. Hi, Russ. Is it only me, but is your Wi-Fi choppy to anyone else? Me. Wi-Fi is always terrible. In this area, it's not just me. I've spoken to other people. Excuse me, is your Wi-Fi crap? I go, I wouldn't describe it as crap. Crap would be good. Let's dash. Oh, it's choppy. I boot because I'm going to lose the show. Ramsey says, Fridays aren't the same without the mystery of the holler. You know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to reboot, gang. If everybody's having a problem, if everyone's going to have a problem, I'm going to have to reboot. Oh no, Stephen Marsh sounded like a Dalek. Oh God. Veronica Carver's down across. Kim, oh God. All right. I'm going to have the system. I'm so sorry. This is such a freaking bore, but I'm going to have to reboot. So I'm going to come out of this. Please don't go away because I got guests lined up. I'm going to have to. This is so annoying. Nothing I can do. Please, literally in 5 minutes. 3 minutes. Bear with me. I think it's all going very, very well, don't you? At 3 minutes all being well. Hold your horse. Should we try again? Is that any better? Sparky, run your fingers on my keyboard, says Stephen Marsh. Veronica Carr, I be refunded to what? To the BBC. Hi, gang. Yay, says Timmy Lashmar. Let's talk amongst ourselves. I think we should talk amongst, Veronica Carr says, I know seeing more. Thank you, Steve. Well, there we go. Nothing amateur. There's nothing like the internet in this area, especially central London, is diabolical. Thank you, Eve Phantom. Critical. Much better. There we go. And I see you really are an accountant. I use the words care. May I have my license fee funded? Oh, he reads games. There's nothing I can do. Absolutely nothing. Ramsey says, much better. Eva says, no, it's better. I've been push pen. No, Ramsey says, may have spoken too soon. What else to say? I'm bring on the first guest. Oh, we've lost. No. Oh, no. No. What can I do? I have no idea what's going on. Let's bring on the first guest. That's what we're going to do. I hope she can hear us. Good is going on game. La la da, da, da. Let's do. I'm having a great an audition for Doctor. What's happening here? God, Doctor. You have to laugh. I'll smash my head against the wall. Hello, Alex. Are you Alex? Well,
hi.
Just about see. There you are. Well, I look clear, and you look. It could be my eyesight. You look quite blurry. You look quite blurry.
You look blurry to me,
anyway.
but that might be my hangover.
No, I am blurry. If you met me in real life, you would know that I'm actually very blurry. I would look like that if you sat opposite me. It would be exactly the same. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on. That's great. Now then, tell us why you're here. Thank you for finding time in your busy schedule. I know you are busier than God. So tell us what's going on.
What's going on? What? A GB News in life?
No, I don't want to know about GB News. No interest in GB News. No interest in GB News. Don't want to hear about GB News unless you want to talk on. You can have me on your show on GB News, and I can talk about men's radio station for an hour. That would be great.
You've been
on
my show. Yeah.
That would be lovely. Anyway, communications are not brilliant today. I don't know. Maybe it's raining. Anyway, first of all, how are you? Most importantly,
I'm good. I'm a little tired. You can't see underneath this, but I've actually got pajamas on under this jumper.
You're trying to excite us. You're trying to excite us with blatant sensuality, and frankly, I'll be honest with you, Alex, it's working. I don't mind telling you, it's working here. There we go. This is great. Kimmy Lashmar says, they're talking about me. He looks like an extra on 24 Hours in A&E and Crime Watch. I look blurry. Guys, there's nothing I can do. Let's go to an accountant who I believe. He says reception now much better. So look, we're just going to have to plow on and do that.
You should have got me on earlier. Clearly good news for Signal.
Yeah, it's nothing. I've rebooted. It's this area. I'm in central London, and the area suffers from the most terrible internet, which is frankly in 2021 going into 2022 a disgrace, absolute disgrace.
I know.
You're a woman of influence. Could you do anything about this? I actually got on to the PA, to the CEO of British Telecom. I'm not joking. I really did. Because
really?
Because I'm anything, I'm determined. But they couldn't do anything about it. It's just rubbish. So there we are.
Oh no. Well, I'm in the same boat. I'm tethered to my phone right now because my internet at home is dreadful.
Oh,
so I've just given up trying to use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now then, you talk a lot about mental health, which is really why I wanted you to come on. And how do you think people are coping generally?
got a problem in society where
Oh my goodness
actually
me, I can't.
puts on people who have health.
Alex, you're going to have to I think you're going to have to reboot because I'm not able to hear you properly. And for once, I don't think it's me. I think it's your. Do you want to reboot and try again?
I'll try reboot.
All right, thank you. I'm going to take you. Oh, this is going very well today. This is going extra. I'm going to take you out. You stay in our digital green room, and then we'll come right back to you. I think, and I'm going out on a limb here, I think the show's going very, very well. And the one thing is that we're not having any technical issues. That is the good thing. And if we are, thank goodness that no one's commenting. We need subtitles, says Kimmy Lash. It's just genius. Guys, I'm really sorry. There is nothing I can do unless what I could do is get several Ovaltine tins, run it to all your homes with a bit of string, and then just pass it along. That's what we're going to do. Now, you're wondering where Phil. I'm hoping that Alex can come back. Let's see if we can get Alex back. Let's see if Alex can come back. Anything happening? Oh, nothing at all. That's weird. No, not coming back. She's not coming back. Wow. Alex. Okay, we'll keep trying. This is weird. It's just no, she's gone completely now. So she's going to have to reboot. Yes, where's Phil Dave? Says Kimmy Lashmar. Veronica Cullen says the whole of the internet is messing about Overlord because world media is in Scotland. Yeah, for your nonsense COP26. I don't know about you. I didn't even like COP24. That one with Sylvester Stallone and Dolph Lundgren. I wasn't keen on that. All right. Alex seems to have disappeared because her internet's completely packed up. Right. Where's Phil, you're asking? I will tell you where Phil is. Phil has not slept in 24 hours. No, 48 hours. I beg your pardon. He phoned me first thing this morning. Alex looks like she's coming back in a minute. He hasn't slept in 48 hours. His mum's not very well. So, and there were some issues at work. I'm going to leave it at that because it's private stuff. Right, let's see if we can get lovely Alex back. I can't say lovely in 2021. Let's see if we can get Alex back. All right. Oh, there we are. That looks better. That's way better.
I like lovely. You can call me lovely. I'm not one of those
sure
sort
I'm
of
allowed
super.
To. No, I don't want to end up on the front page of the Sun. Or so. I don't want to be on the front page of the Sun or the Daily Mirror. You know, broadcaster in sex scandal probe shock. Could do without that, frankly. I've got enough going on with my throat. So, right, let's try again. That looks much clearer. I can see you properly. I can hear you perfectly. Now, we were saying, I posited the question, how do you think people generally are doing with their mental health in all this madness?
I think mental health definitely suffered during lockdown. Of course it has, because we're social creatures. We're supposed to be interacting with each other. We're supposed to be going out and living our lives and not being locked up. So I think there were a lot of issues with people's well-being and mental health, and I think that other forms of abuse have gone up, which obviously impacts people who are having difficulties. Like domestic abuse, child abuse, those sorts of things. But I think we have a problem in the 21st century with our obsession with mental health, and I actually think that we're creating a situation where it's almost sort of mass social hysteria and hypochondria, where it's almost fashionable to have a mental health issue today, and everyone's wandering around saying, I've been triggered by this, offended by that, I need a safe space, I need to recover from this, I need time off work for that. I think we're not teaching people to be resilient and robust anymore, and I think that that's sadly lacking, especially for young people. I'm just eternally grateful that I'm 37 and I'm not a young person growing up in today's society.
Do you want to swap, Alex? Do you want to swap? I will swap now.
Be your age.
I will swap ages right now. But I want to have what my experience and my brains now at my age at 37. That's what I want to do. Otherwise, I don't want to swap. I couldn't go through this again a second time.
37's a good age. I'm enjoying it.
37's a fantastic age. It's a great
and
age.
Plus I still get ID'd when I buy alcohol. So I'm getting away with it. I don't know how. I'm like,
this is going to come as a shock. Alex, this is going to come as a shock. I haven't been ID'd in the last 2 centuries, but they go, oh, yeah.
Well,
do you
that's
want
because
some
you're
extra
blurry.
booze? You want some extra booze? They go, yeah, that's that. Yeah, I'm thinking of growing this into like a ZZ Top thing. It's my new idea. I'm just considering it now. You've opened up an absolute massive can of worms there, and some of which I really agree with, and some of which I don't. Because I've got to say that, because obviously I'm co-founder of a station which whole tenet is to remove the stigma surrounding mental health. I do believe there's a lot of crybabies out there, a lot of cry bullies, as Julie Burchill says. I think some of it is absolute nonsense, but the trouble is it dilutes those, and I don't know whether I'd love your opinion, which is why you're here. It dilutes those who've got genuine problems.
Right. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think what is good is the progression around removing the stigma and the taboo for mental health. I think that's really important because everybody at some point in their life is going to have a mental health issue. Nobody is immune from it. But I think that we have the problem that we have a risk of exacerbating mental health by basically creating a situation where I think far too many people are put on antidepressants, for example. I think that, like I said, talking about things is so important. It's a key to any sort of mental recovery or being able to navigate through life and cope with issues and all the difficulties that life throws up. And when we talk about mental health, it's, it can be psychiatric illness, psychological conditions. It can be something as simple as bereavement. It can be trauma. And I do think it is important that we do lift the stigma and the taboo surrounding mental health. But I think we risk sometimes going in the opposite direction, where, as I said, it's almost become, especially amongst the younger generation, when you look at people on TikTok and when you look at people on Instagram, it's almost this rabid obsession with one psychological landscape and one psychological well-being, which, if you look for a problem, if you look for evidence that something's upset you or something's depressing you, then you're going to find it. And then it's a bit like,
how did we get to this position? First of all, it's a two-part question. One, how the hell did we get to where we are now, where one of my best friends, Ray Gelato, the jazz player, said a few months ago, I think the world's having a collective nervous breakdown. And I think he's right. He's right. You go on Twitter and you want to have a shower afterwards because it's like sometimes it's just like swimming through sewer. And you think, these people, you're not well. You're just not. That's another issue. And is it a generational thing?
I suppose how we got there makes it generational. And I think that how we got there is the internet, basically, because what we had before was that we were living as normal animals in, our little tribes and our communities as social species, and then all of a sudden this thing came along that gave us a meta reality, a virtual existence, in which everyone's interconnected and everyone has a shop window. And so as a result of that, you've got the uptick in things like identity politics, where when you're part of a far bigger collective, everyone's clamoring to be the person who stands out and understand themselves within a broader context. But then at the same time as doing that, we're sort of playing around with our virtual selves as well. And there's huge problems with things like body dysphoria based on the fact, especially amongst young people, based on the fact that everyone is sort of representing themselves in a two-dimensional choreographed way, and you've got little girls now wanting to look like their selfies, little teenage girls wanting to have plastic surgery because they want to look like they look when they apply a filter to their faces. And I think it's this sort of playing between reality and virtual reality that has created an uptick in identity politics and this clamor for people to be recognized as a thing, to have a label, to be categorized, and this sort of constant oversharing that's happening. Everyone wants everybody to know every little detail of their life, everything that's ever happened to them. They want their story to be told and their story to be heard over and above everybody else's. And I think
their story is not always that bloody interesting, quite frankly.
It's very often not.
That's the truth of it. That's the truth of it.
If I was a tyrant, I would ban social media. It would be my first move. I can't stand it. I'm
But
on
isn't
Twitter.
it
I'm on
interesting?
Instagram.
But Alex, isn't it interesting? You and I, you at GB News, and with everything else you do, me with Men's Radio and publicizing my books and stuff like that, we rely on social media as the medium in which to communicate. But it is a poison chalice. Now, you used an interesting word, Meta. Facebook have gone. Meta, by the way, in Hebrew means death. I don't think Mr. Zuckerberg thought that one through. So it's like, hey, we're changing our name from Facebook to death. How does that sound? Sounds good to me, Mark. Whatever you say, great idea, Mark. Another genius move. What is this Meta crap? Seriously, I don't mean Facebook. I mean, explain it. What do we mean by Meta?
I suppose meta is the idea that it's a parallel. It isn't reality. It's a parallel to reality, and that is the problem. And that is the problem that we are creating now, a situation where anything goes now. Everything goes in the World Wide Web. I was just speaking with my producer about some of the shows we're doing next week, and we're going to be doing a show on safeguarding. And it's quite interesting that when you look now on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram, everybody's there banging a drum, whether it's about pronouns. We were talking today actually about, there's this new acronym that I've only just discovered this morning called MAP, which is a minor map. A map is a minor. Blimey, the sun's suddenly come out. I look like
what
a
the
ghost.
Hell?
I know.
And suddenly she was taken to heaven, ladies and gentlemen. St. Alex Philip.
Wow.
St. Alex Philip.
I'm gonna have to move
the
myself.
Saint of broadcasting is suddenly taken aloft.
There you go. So that's really bizarre. I don't know where that sun's coming from.
You see, that's Mark Zuckerberg. You took the piss out of Mark Zuckerberg, and I tell you what, now you're in trouble. He shone the sun. He controls the sun, obviously, as well.
He does in the metaverse.
Controls the weather, the world. Right, go on.
So we were talking, my producer and I were talking about this new acronym MAP, which is talking about the latest oppressed group of people. A MAP.
Oh, who?
A MAP.
Who are they now?
MAP stands for a minor attracted person, aka a pedophile, right?
I'm sorry. What? I thought you were joking aside. All right, I thought you meant someone. I thought this new bullshit is like someone who doesn't think they're quite attractive enough. Now they're a minor attractive person is a pedophile.
A minor attracted person, someone who's attracted to minors. And but this is the problem with the internet.
Shoot them.
Well, quite, but it's the problem is the internet has created this ultra liberalism on steroids, because anything goes online when it's virtual, and that's beginning to seep through into daily life. And I talk a lot about things like the pornification of society. That distresses me a lot. I think that we've become utterly sexist.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you just have to look at back in the day when I was growing up. Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister. The Queen was the Queen, still is the Queen. Yeah. And as a girl, thank goodness, as a little girl, I didn't feel that there were any bounds in what I could do. And I had plenty of role models and ended up going into politics. Now it's all about what I call culture with a K, Kardashian culture. And porn has created a mass sexualization of society. You just look at Boohoo and the sort of clothes that they sell. You look at little girls pouting on TikTok and Instagram.
I find that
the concept
disturbing.
of the pout. Yeah, the concept of
it's
the pout
so
itself is something that's being brought in from pornography. Everyone's getting lip fillers. There's become this mass sexualization, and that I think is sort of its implantation from what has been allowed to exist in a completely unregulated alternative universe that is the internet, and it's now bleeding into society. And I actually think it's pretty dystopian. Like I said, I would ban all social media if I had my way, because I don't think that we're supposed to live in these unrestricted, unregulated, boundless alternative realities.
But Alex, it's only free speech, it appears to me, if you agree with the lunatic, whatever crap they're spouting. That's if you go, oh yes, you're absolutely right. The Earth is flat. You're a genius. That's free speech. You come back and say, you're a raving lunatic. What the hell are you talking about? The Earth is not flat. It's round. Stop wasting everybody's time with this nonsense. That's not free speech.
But there is no free speech. Free speech in itself has become codified for censorship, hasn't it, really? And because people are being able to self-appoint as moral arbiters and, judge, jury and executioner. And that is a deep worrying trend.
If we take ourselves across from, I don't know where you are, if I take myself across from London to Sausalito in California to that huge massive mansion, you realize that this virtual life where you can create anything, you've already said and it's a wonderful phrase, bleeding into our reality. And now you have phrases from people like Meghan Markle, which is like, oh, well, that's my truth.
Oh, I know. Well, this is the problem.
Where does that, Alex? You're a broadcaster of note. Where does that begin and end? Because my truth might be, hey, everybody, I'm actually the number one driver for the Formula One Ferrari team. Well, clearly I'm not. But supposing that was my truth,
This is the
you know?
problem, and this is what I said about the boundless online, trying to be imposed onto the bounded, which is reality. And I hate this idea of alternative truths. I hate the idea that what we're doing, I mean, look, it has got a name, and it's cultural Marxism, which is reducing everything to a ground zero, destroying all of our social structures and frameworks, and people are able to rebuild it as they want in their own image. And it's disturbing, because what essentially, if you look back through the history of humanity, anthropologically speaking and sociologically speaking, there was a pivotal moment in, well, not in the West, in the world, but it's sort of led to the creation of the West, which was Christianity. And essentially, Christianity came and put in place law and order and maxims and social strictures around what was otherwise a fairly brutal and chaotic human existence. And what we're doing now is dismantling those frameworks. We're dismantling the social frameworks and going back to the era. If you look at some of the practices in ancient Greece and Rome, we don't want those to come back.
No, we
I
do.
wouldn't
We do
mind.
not want them. And it was weird you say that, because only 2 days ago I was looking at. There's a very interesting guy called Simon Whistler. He does tremendous videos. I don't know if you know him, on all sorts of subjects. And he was talking about what actually went on in ancient Rome. And one of the theories that they were so brutal and so weird. We see them as, they gave road. The Monty Python. They gave us roads. They gave us aqueducts. They gave us this, that, and the other. They also gave the most brutal entertainments and torture that's ever been seen, I think. And one of the reasons is that there was lead in the water of Rome. That was natural lead, and it was affecting people. It was making them go around the bend. And so what their definition of what was normal, in other words, starving lions, putting prisoners in the middle of an arena and letting the lions eat them, and everyone's cheering. What the hell's that about? It's an interesting thing. We don't want to go back to that, but kind of the panem et circenses, bread and circuses, in other words, keep the people happy, you give them food and entertainment, the Simon Cowell role model, basically. You're going to keep the population happy. Is this deliberate?
Yes, it's 100% deliberate.
So then I have to ask, if something is deliberate, there has to be a manipulator or someone pulling the strings of all the other marionettes.
Yeah, there
Who?
has. I mean, the theory goes amongst a lot of people that in the 1970s you had a particularly hardline form of Marxism and cultural Marxism that crept into the West during the Cold War and embedded itself within universities, and that's what we're having. It begins with academic capture, and you just have to look at how utterly insane and intolerant some of our campuses have become. I mean, basically, a few
hello,
years
look at
behind.
Bristol. Look at Bristol.
Well,
Sorry, disgusting.
yeah,
Look at the LSE this week.
Everything. I mean, I'm outraged about the University of Sussex and their treatment of Kathleen Stock, the professor. But it's becoming it's a very regressive form of academia that has captured our universities, and it started off really in America. Actually, it started off in America, but we were the ones who exported the cultural Marxism in the 70s to America, and now they're giving it back to us.
Well, Asa Don Brown, whose comment I've just put up here, Asa's watching and listening in America. He's highly respected in the psychological counseling field. Asa, thanks for joining us now. That's great. But it's interesting, you talk about America, and then boom, up he pops.
There he was, yeah. But it's deeply, deeply worrying. I mean, I'm slightly obsessed with this this account on Twitter called Libs of TikTok, and it basically just takes all of these videos that float around on TikTok with basically insane people spouting their weirdness, and documents it or catalogs it all. And when you watch it, you think, how did we get to this point? I mean, like I said, I think there's a cultural Marxism mixing together with the boundless sort of meta world of the internet, and it's created this toxic this toxic hybrid, really. And we've lost our grip on all of the things that humanity built. We built society, we built maxims, we built morals, we built the family units, we built rules that we're supposed to live by. And we're going through a process now of radical deconstruction of everything that sort of made us a civilized beast rather than, a feckless animal.
You know what? I tell you what's. It is so disturbing and so deeply worrying. But you've said something. Well, you've said so many very, very interesting things. I wish we could go on forever. But you said about pronouns. This whole thing about pronouns. And my theory is this: while everyone's clutching their pearls about what pronoun to use, which is just, I'm sorry, it's just bonkers, right? Russia and China are getting on with business. They don't give a shit about any of this.
Well,
And
I'll tell you what,
they're taking over quietly the world. And
it's
the
interesting
West,
that you say
especially
that.
America, only has itself to blame for this nonsense.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because a lot of these polarizing discussions, a lot of this sort of the material that gains a lot of traction online. Bloody hell! Sorry, swearing on your radio station.
Say what you like. You don't mind.
There's that sun. I don't want to go sit in it, but I don't want it in my eyes.
No, I get it.
A lot of these social justice campaigns are being augmented and amplified by foreign bots. And it's incredible to see. I mean, let's take, for instance, Black Lives Matter. There is absolutely no way that a single organization could have choreographed without some pretty high level technology, essentially, coincidental protests around the whole world, from Ipswich to wherever,
Idaho.
Accra
to Idaho.
to Idaho, Ipswich to Idaho. There you are. And every single place in between. That can only be choreographed to happen simultaneously with some very, very high level internet manipulation. And when you look at, we had the big story about all the racism against footballers online. 80% of the racist comments came from bots. Those bots are usually made in places like Russia, Iran, and China, because what they're doing, and they're succeeding, is they're using an American-based invention, the internet, to actually now radicalize and destroy society by sowing division and dismantling, like I said, helping to dismantle those things that bind us together, make us a community, help build prosperity, because we've built a very sophisticated, civilized society. And
can you explain? Kimmy
Lashmar
wants Kimmy, because we're in the industry. It's another thing, but not everybody is. So Kimmy's asking, what are bots? Could you explain just briefly?
Bots are fake accounts. They're not people who are posting Twitter posts. They're fake accounts. And I'm no cyber expert, but you can set up a load of fake accounts which sort of operate completely as an automaton. So it's not a person sitting there typing messages, but there might be one particular message or a series of messages, or using AI, artificial intelligence, to riff on a theme, and all these little accounts pop up. And they're not actually people, but they are used to push and amplify certain messages. So all of a sudden, if you get something that goes viral.
Yeah, Alex, see what's interesting. I agree with you. This may surprise you. I think you're 100% right. Other people,
always am.
My God. Oh, dear God. Well, I can see Chantal laughing. Chantal, my next guest, who's on every Friday, I can see her laughing there. Yeah, happy wife is a happy life. Now, here's the thing. But other people would say, "Oh, that Alex Phillips, what a fascist, what a Nazi she is, what a conspiracy." This is what they'd do, and they'd shout you down without allowing the argument. To me, it's blindingly obvious what's going on. I'm going to end with one question to you, because this is a fascinating theme. How does a little schoolgirl in Sweden suddenly launch a multi-million-pound endless PR campaign? You're in the media, you got your finger on the pulse. Explain this to everybody. How's that possible?
I wish I could, but but this is what's happening with the internet. We've created a society that loves to infantilize everything, and she's almost being held up like the Magi,
She's being held up as Joan of. They're seeing her as Joan of Arc, but I always think she's got a Joan of Arc complex, But look, we live in the real world, you and I, although we've never met. We know a campaign like that over so many years costs tens of millions, not a few million, tens of millions. Anyone in advertising or marketing, as Chantal is one of the leading experts in that, would tell you it costs tens of millions to launch a product like that. And it's endless. This isn't coming from her piggy bank up in her bedroom in old Sweden, or wherever the hell she is.
Well,
you know,
there are certain philanthropists, which I think is a misnomer, who are very happy to fund a lot of these sort of social justice campaigns. I mean, usually the finger gets pointed at people like George Soros, but there are people out there who want to radicalize the world and want to dismantle certain structures and want to see the powers shifting from where they traditionally have been held. And Greta is another tool in which to do that. And because she is a child, well, she's not anymore. How old is she now? It's 18. She started swearing.
She's 18 now.
Yeah, she started swearing and having boyfriends.
But Alex, it's marketing genius, because you can't say anything. You can't. Here's how it's so brilliant. Right, and this is what does my mental health in. You can't say anything. How could you say that? She's a child. Well, if she's a child, why have I got to listen to her? You can't have it both ways. Now she's not a child. She's 18.
She's got the added benefit. She's got the added benefit of being autistic. And I don't say that in a sort of crude way, as in autism is a major benefit for anybody, but it makes it even more difficult to criticize. It makes
because you're seen as an absolute
I think that is
swine.
why she's well, exactly. You cannot say anything about Greta because A, she was a minor, and B, she suffers from autism. So it makes
Ramsey, you're missing the point. You're missing the point I'm making. Sorry, Ramsey's saying people are concerned about Chantal. I'm going to bring Chantal in a sec. People are concerned about the environment. Yep. Okay. When an articulate schoolgirl, she's not articulate, pricks the conscience of the world about the state of the planet, people listen. She's taken the baton from Attenborough. I'm not arguing with any of that. All right. I'm not arguing with that. My question that I'm posing is this, Ramsey, and you're, again, like all her followers, avoiding answering the question. Who's paying for it? Who's pulling the strings?
Well, she did, of course, or she does, of course, have an opera singer mother and an actor father, doesn't she? She comes from
her mother was a pop singer in Sweden, and the father is something, whatever.
Yeah,
but they're not multimillionaires. They're not multimillionaires.
No, they're not.
This is a corporate. I'm going to bring in Chantal before we let you go. So here we go. There we are. Hello, Chantal.
Hi. What a fascinating conversation.
Well, Alex is not one to hold back. I got to be honest with you. She's not one to hold back. It's in, oh, here we go. The what is this? The NHO. I don't know what an NHO is. What's an NHO? You two are much smarter than I'll ever be. The NHOs pay her expenses.
Maybe it's supposed to be NGOs, as in the non-governmental organizations. Maybe that's what.
And a good point, considering we have a show dedicated to autism. Thank you, Leslie Demisa. Greta doesn't great. Well, Greta.
Well, yeah, I agree.
She
with that.
lives with autism.
She lives with it. Yeah, no, that's true. But we weren't sort of discussing.
No, I'm just curious. What do you think, Chantal? Who pays for this? This is you've been in marketing. That's how we met. So. This is a campaign worth millions.
You're right. It's a very interesting question. And indeed, I ran a charity in the United States for 5 years, and funding was everything in helping to get our message out there. I am presuming she is funded by individuals and indeed corporations. I am presuming that somebody will have set her up as a foundation. And people will have been putting money into the foundation. I mean, clearly she can't be at all of these places all the way around the world without some sort of financial support. But I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to support her. In terms of her autism, the one thing I would say is that because, yes, she is probably on the spectrum and she is at the end, at the Aspergic end of the spectrum, I think that is what has possibly allowed her to speak out without fear. Because most 15 and 16-year-olds haven't got the bottle to be that pushy and that energized, if you like. I think possibly that her autism has actually taken away blinkers that most other people would have, or taken away a filter. A filter that other people have. So so there's good and bad in that, and clearly we can't suggest that autism is something that is bad in any way. But I don't think we would have had her had she not been that person that was on the spectrum that felt anything.
And for full transparency, I have to be very honest here, because I'm on the panel of judging Autism Heroes with Anna Kennedy OBE, so I'm hardly going to be critical of people with autism, because for personal reasons as well. What have we got here? Now you see, this is interesting. Ramsey, who's obviously a big fan of hers, she makes great TV. Did you see her journey to the US via the yacht? Very enlightening. Yeah. And Ramsey, did you see the jet that flew all the crew out to bring the yacht back home? Come on, this works both ways. She's not a saint. This is, we've got to stop seeing everything through this fantastic. I'm not denying what she's doing. I'm not in the least. I'm not even a particular denier, but let's be honest. Let's be real about this. Let's just stop. As you said, I always get the word wrong. What is it, Alex? When you make
infantilizing.
Infantilizing. It drives me insane. When pop stars say, Mariah Carey and all those, they go, what is that? What are you, 4? Woman nearly 50 years old, for Christ's sake, Mariah. Do a normal wave like normal people do. Yeah. Ridiculous. Alex, I know you're busier than ever. You're welcome to stay, but I'm sure you've got to dash off and save the world of broadcasting. It's been great having you on.
Yeah, that'd be lovely to be on. And,
will you come back?
Yeah,
would you come back? You've been a big hit with the viewers and the listeners. You're a big hit with me. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Alex. Really, it's great. All right, give my regards to everyone at where.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye, Alex. Bye, Alex. What the hell? Hey, big news. Your Fringe, now you got it back. This is really happening, isn't it? This is happening.
It's still growing out.
Yeah, this is great. This is good. This is good stuff. Come on.
There'll be a big reveal after Christmas.
Will it be like, will it be like curtains? Will you do a whole thing like you used to do in LA? There'll be a whole event. Leo DiCaprio is going to turn up and compare it. Hey, everybody, you've been waiting for this Fringe. Well, now's the time. And it'll be all that. It'll be bloody marvelous. Right. Now, I've got a show for you.
Oh, good. Tell me.
Significant other gave me a call during the week.
Yeah.
And said that she'd been watching a show with, she knows she's one of my favorites, Stana Katic, who was the other half of
Castle.
Thank you, with Nathan Fillion. It shows what a great actress she is, because he was horrible to her. He was absolutely vile on set. Vile. She's been quite open about it.
Oh dear.
And I thought they were great friends. What do I know? Jesus, I'm so naive when it comes to these things. Anyway, she's executive producer. There's 3 series, and it's a very interesting show called Absentia.
Yes.
Do you know it?
Yeah, she stars in it. I've only seen
an exec producer.
Yeah, I've only seen the first couple of episodes. American series, came out about 2 years ago.
Yep.
To reasonable acclaim. I mean, it wasn't a breakout, but it definitely wasn't bad.
I gotta say, it was a bit like crack. I thought, well, I watched the first episode. Blow me! I only binge watched 10 episodes.
Wow. Okay, you've done better than me.
I had to know what happened.
Yeah. Well, there we are. Good writing.
It's clever. Basically, what happens is, very, very briefly, an FBI. She plays an FBI agent, married with a baby. She's presumed dead. She disappears for 6 years. The husband moves on, finds a very lovely woman, remarries. The woman brings the child up, the little boy, and blow me down, she turns up again.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Good start.
And all of that is in like the first 5 minutes. You go,
yeah, it is. Yeah, I think that's all in the first episode.
It's just like bang. It's great. Anyway, it is called Absentia. It's on Amazon. There we go.
Excellent. Right. Well done.
Now this is Ramsey. He's saying, Chantal, I love The Outlaws.
Ramsey, my man. I was just about to talk about it.
Okay. So what is all that about then?
Okay, so you know the American actor Christopher Walken, who is
Just a
now
bit.
78, who is a sort of demigod, really, when it comes to
He's 78.
78. Not known for his comedic roles, although he was in Annie Hall a million years ago. But you know,
When Woody Allen says he plays Annie Hall's brother, the younger brother, and Woody Allen says, "Well, nice talking to you, but I have to get back to my own planet now."
That's a good line. It's a good line. I must remember that.
Because Christopher Walken gives him a lift. He's completely bonkers. Woody Allen's face is like
That's an excellent line. Well, we know him better from things like A View to a Kill and The Deer Hunter, neither of which are, you know, a barrel of laughs. But actually, he's just turned up on this terrific BBC One comedy written by Stephen Merchant, all 6'8" of him, who has been partner of Ricky Gervais for many years and has co-written many things with Ricky. Well, he's written this new comedy called The Outlaws that started on BBC One this week. The premise is brilliant, and often it's a comedy thriller, so it's a bit of it's something that the Brits do rather well in terms of comedy thrillers, a little bit like Death in Paradise. There's a little bit of a sort of comedic thing going on, and there's a yarn going on. This is actually played for laughs. It's very, very well written. I mean, he's such a good writer, Stephen. But there are 7 people who are all having to do community hours because they've all been bad in some way. And that their mission is to redo a community centre, to do a sort of DIY SOS.
And it's set in Britain or America?
Set in Bristol. Set in Bristol. But
I'm trying to put in one sentence Christopher Walken in Bristol.
So here we go. So who is one of the characters? Who is the grandfather?
Right.
Who's described as a sort of ruthless, cheating old bastard, I think he's described.
I like him straight away, to be honest.
Exactly. But Christopher Walken with American accent, and you think, this is weird. Where is this going to go? And actually, he's brilliant. He's such a good actor anyway. He's clearly really enjoying himself with a whole load of other great British talent around him, including the person you would most know, other than Stephen Merchant, who is in it too, is Eleanor Tomlinson, who was in Poldark, the siren in Poldark. So she's in it, and she's an influencer. So she turns up day one, taking selfies, and she's got the high heels on and the leather boots. And
maybe I like her suddenly. I like her maybe. That's my kind of date.
The characters are fantastic. There's a young mixed race girl who's just got into Oxford and is terrified that because of her shoplifting, she's suddenly going to get her place taken away that Oxford have offered her. There's a young black kid who is trying to look after his sister on an estate who's being pushed very hard by local drug dealers. I mean, it's just a perfect group of people in all shapes and sizes. One of the funniest people is the woman who's sort of running the community work, the community hours, like the sort of probation lady who watches over them, who steals every scene that she's in. She's not an actress, I know, but she's jolly good. And it's just started on BBC One, and it absolutely has to be watched. It's laugh out loud funny. And you can't say that much about much that's on telly at the moment.
Not at all. Interesting, you said you didn't think about Christopher Walken and comedic stuff. There's a silly film. It should be terrible, but I'm sorry. I admit I loved it.
Good.
The War with Grandpa, with Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro, and he's got his best mates, and his best mates. It reminds me of me, Ray, and Colin on a Saturday morning in Soho. And one's Christopher Walken, and the other one is. There was Cheech and Chong, right? You would never know it was those hippie guys. And they're all trying to support Robert De Niro, who gets into a war over a bedroom in his daughter, played by Uma Thurman.
Oh, wow.
You would not believe this cast. I'm going, that's Kill Bill Uma Thurman, for God's sake. She's in this piece of mere puffery. But it's quite cute.
And the lovely thing is Sometimes you get great combinations of actors in really weird films. I mean, not weird, the film isn't weird, but weird juxtapositions of people because they actually genuinely want to work with each other.
Yeah.
And that's really nice because then that camaraderie bounces off the screen.
It absolutely is so evident.
Yeah.
But it does show the talent of actors. I'm sorry to come back to Stanley Katic again, who speaks 8 languages fluently, by the way. She's a dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's drop dead good looking. That, you know.
Slightly. But the thing about it is, in Castle, which I'm sure everybody watched over the years, you know, there was wonderful on-screen chemistry between them, and you thought, oh, I bet they're real pals who go out for dinner after the shoot. And no, it was awful. So you think that's really good to hide because it's not easy. I mean, look at me and Phil. Look at me and Phil. I can't hide it. Poor sausage. He's not in a good way today. He's really not in a good way today. He hasn't slept in 48 hours. Ghastly combination of things. So we send our love to the whole of the Dave family, especially to Ray and especially to Linda. Lots of love to you, Linda. Hope you're okay. Anyway, there we are. That's what that's all about. What else has come upon your purview? I love that word.
Anyway, so there's another new drama on the BBC this week called Show Trial, which is turning out to be rather good. I hope it lasts all the way through. I have read quite a lot of the reviews, and I know that there's a little bit of argy-bargy around the final episode and people sort of questioning the final episode. I haven't got there yet, but I've seen the first 3 episodes and I'm really enjoying it. It's about a young woman who is being accused of murder, and it's more about the trial than the build up to it. But the backstory is played out. This young woman is at a college/university in Bristol. Bizarrely, everybody seems to be in Bristol.
What's going on in Bristol?
I don't know what's going on in Bristol, but it's all happening down there. And the body of a young woman who is also at the same college/university is found the day after their sort of May ball, as it were, their sort of big summer event.
Yep.
And this woman is accused of the murder, and clearly there is going to be a show trial. The young woman who has died is, her background is sort of ordinary, and the young woman on trial is from the upper echelons. She's definitely upper middle class. She has a father who is a big property developer and very moneyed. She plays the super bitch, basically, this young woman. She plays it extremely well. It's definitely worth checking into. I'm hoping that it's going to be good consistently all the way through. But the barrister, who is the other sort of key player in the whole of this, is brilliant. There's a lot of on-screen chemistry, even though they're supposed to be at loggerheads all the time, but it's played out really, really well. So that's definitely worth a watch if you want to see something else from Bristol. A crime drama, or a legal drama, really, more than a crime drama, a legal drama.
I like legal dramas. BBC One. Oh, BBC doing well, clearly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good that Stephen Merchant comes out of the shadow of Ricky Gervais, isn't it? He's a talented man. He's absolutely.
I think the shadow's the other way round, but
well, yeah, because he's 6. What did you say he was? 6'8".
6'8".
Blimey.
Yeah, he's a
crowded in the bath. Must be crowded. I mean, what the hell? He must go to a swimming pool to have a bath.
Yeah, I think Ricky's shadow is slightly wider, and I think Stephen's is definitely taller.
Jeez, wow. An interesting chemistry between two what would seem completely disparate people. I mean, anyway, that
and of course their connection was Bristol.
Oh, stop it! You're just making this up now.
No, I think weren't they both on radio together in Bristol?
Oh, that's possibly the case. Mackenzie Crook. Yes, he went on to do Pirates, and he in Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's right.
I don't know, whichever one it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway,
right, what else?
Very briefly, if you didn't catch up with COP26 last week, where were you? What were you doing? But actually,
avoiding it, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Avoiding it like the plague.
1 in 6 Brits are in danger of having a house that will be flooded at some stage. And ITV did actually a very good short documentary called It Takes a Flood, which is actually exactly what it says on the tin. It's an unvarnished documentary by Kevin MacDonald, who is a very, very good Scottish director who did things as interestingly as Touching the Void and The Last King of Scotland and State of Play.
Last King of Scotland.
Very good director.
Help me out, Forrest Whitaker.
I was going to say Gump. Forrest Whitaker.
So close.
Not Forrest
Whitaker
Gump.
and Tom Hanks separated at birth, Chantal.
Exactly. It's worth watching, and it does tell you quite a lot about climate change without sort of hitting you over the head with the mallet in terms of, lots of people going, we've got to stop this now. It's actually about the people who are suffering from their homes being in floodplains. But it's definitely worth watching. But to counterbalance... No, I was going to say, if you want something really silly for the weekend, very quickly, because I know we're nearly out of time.
Get you producing the show suddenly. Get you. She can't help it.
It's normally Phil who's going, you're nearly out of time.
Phil, he was like, hi, Russ. Oh, God, I said, what's up? Anyway, sorry. Right, something silly.
No, silly for a Saturday night. The new Gerard Butler movie. It's the first time it's been on telly. It's called The Angel Has Fallen. It's the third in the trilogy.
It was great.
Olympus Has Fallen and
White House Down or something, whatever it's called.
Exactly.
So
Olympus Has Fallen and London Has Fallen.
London Has Fallen.
White House Down, very similar. And it's Channel 4. It's Saturday night. It's absolutely predictable. But if you love that predictability and you're a Gerard Butler,
but it's great.
Great set pieces. It's a wonderful watch for a Saturday night.
Chantal, as ever, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you, God willing, next week.
Next Friday. Take care. Have a good weekend.
And you. That's it for a week. I'm sorry about the technical glitches. Nothing we could do about it. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. What now, you ask? Where's Phil? We did that an hour ago. If you're unfortunate to live on a floodplain. Anyway, have a great weekend. And we'll be back Monday, 12 noon. Until then, try and stay out of trouble, will you?